Okay, fractions. What we're going to review first is how to simplify fractions. So let's say you had the fraction 3 over 6. To simplify that fraction, you just find a number that will divide evenly into the numerator and the denominator. And that would be 3. 3 goes into both of those. So just divide each by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 3 over 6 simplifies to 1/2. All right, another example, if you had 15 over 20, okay, the largest number that divides evenly into 15 and 20 is 5. So we're going to divide each by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 15 over 20 simplifies to 3/4. So that's how you simplify fractions. Now let's move on to multiplying. Okay, let's multiply 1/2 times 3/4. Okay, now if you could cross out here, you would. And what I mean by cross out, if a numerator and a denominator, if there's a common factor that goes into both of those, you could divide each by that. For example, 1 and 4, if there was a number besides 1 that would go into 1 and 4, you could divide by it. Also the 2 and 3, if there was a number besides 1 that would go into 2 and 3, you would divide by it. But there's not, so let's go ahead and multiply this out. So just multiply 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. So it's 3 over 8. Okay, another example. Let's do 3 over 35 times 10 over 63. Okay, now if we look this way first, look at the 3 and 63, and you see if there's a number that will divide evenly into both of them. Well, I know 3 will go into 3 and 3 will go into 63, so I'm going to divide each of them by 3. So that's going to be a 1 there, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and divide 63 by 3, and that's 21. Now let's look at the other direction, the 10 and 35. I know 5 will divide into both of those, so let's divide them each by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So now we just multiply what we have left. So 1 times 2 is 2, and then multiply the denominators together. 7 times 21 is 147. So it would be 2 over 147. So that's how you multiply. Right. Dividing is like multiplying, except you have to rewrite the original problem as a multiplication problem. So if you had 1/2 divided by 7 over 12, the first thing you want to do is rewrite this as 1/2 times 12 over 7. So if you have a division problem, you change it to a multiplication problem and write the reciprocal or flip the second fraction. And then you work it just like a multiplying problem. So 2 will divide into both of these, so I can cancel out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, you can't cancel out the other way. Nothing goes into 1 and 7 except 1. So 1 times 6 is 6 in the numerator, and 1 times 7 is 7. So 1/2 divided by 7/12 is 6 over 7. Now, if you have a mixed number and you're multiplying, so say for example you had 1/4 times 5 and 5/6, you're going to need to rewrite that mixed number as an improper fraction first. So that's going to be 1/4 times, and if we rewrite this as an improper fraction, you say 6 times 5 is 30. 30 plus 5 is 35, so it would be 35 over 6. And then we look to see if we could cancel out. And and nothing cancels out, so it's just going to be 35 over 24. Okay, now let's move on to addition and subtraction. Okay, addition and subtraction, that's where you have to have your common denominator. So let's look at this, 2/3 plus 3/7. Now you can't add those together like they are right now because they have two different denominators. So we need to find a common denominator. So to find a common denominator for 3 and 7, we look for a number that 3 and 7 will both divide into, and that would be 21. So I want to rewrite each of the fractions with 21 as the denominator. So I want to find an equivalent fraction that's equal to 2/3 that has 21 in the denominator. Now the way you figure out what you put in the numerator here is you say 3 will go into 21 7 times, oops, and then do 7 times that numerator, so it would be 14. And on the other one, say 7 will go into 21 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. So see, I just multiplied the same number in the numerator and denominator of each fraction so that I would have 21 on the bottom. So in this first fraction, 2/3, I multiplied the numerator and denominator by 7. And in the other fraction, 3/7, I just multiplied the numerator and the denominator by 3. So then I got two equivalent fractions. Now add the numerators. You get 23 over 21. And if you could simplify that, you would, but there's not a number that besides 1 that goes into 23 and 21. So you leave it like it is. So the answer is 23 over 21. Now you do subtraction exactly the same way. Let's say you have 7/10 minus 8/15. Okay. The first thing we have to do is find a common denominator. Our denominators are 10 and 15, so we need a number that both 10 and 15 will divide into. And 10 and 15 will both go into 30. So 30 is going to be your common denominator. Okay. So in this first fraction, you say 10 will go into 30 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. On the other fraction, you say 15 will go into 36, 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Okay, 21 minus 16 is 5. We have 5 over 30. Now 5 over 30 will simplify because 5 will divide evenly into both of those. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 30 divided by 5 is 6. So it simplifies to 1 over 6. Okay, so that's how you add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions.